Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Thursday, March 6th, 2014. First, this morning, I want to take a look at what has been going on in the realm of the IRS. From memory hole is an article, Pay Your Income Tax, and this is a history of the collection of an income tax in the U.S., and it's a good primer. You can learn a lot fairly quickly. This is from the Daily Caller and is a reflection of how the press treated Issa and Cummings after yesterday's hearing. And it's just a look at how the press is much more aggressive toward Issa. And this article also summarizes what happened in the course of the hearing, which was very interesting. Of course, the learner took the fifth, and I know nothing, and this all has to do with the IRS being used to punish freedom fighters and people who oppose the government. So all highly, highly unconstitutional stuff. And in order to bring an end to that kind of oppression, Jim Bridenstine of Oklahoma is proposing that we get rid of the IRS. And he's not alone. There are other Congress people who are working on this with him. And this is a almost 3-minute video that explains what he is trying to do. So, good work, and may God be with him and set us free from this oppression of the IRS. Now I have a few articles about gun rights. Infowars.com had an article up, Canadian Mounties override civilian rule to arbitrarily ban and confiscate firearms. So this is happening in Canada, and of course it's the U.S. They're pushing in and trying to limit firearms possession. From End the Lie is a look at Maryland considering disqualification of 110,000 gun owners. That means that these 110,000 people would have to surrender their firearms. And of course, this is just this gradual squeeze that the government has learned how to do so well. That, take a little away here, a little away there, and then when most people have already been disarmed, you come in and sweep in and take away the rest. So it has to stop somewhere. And this was big news yesterday from Infowars.com, Facebook to place guns in same category as porn. And I had a couple of articles about this yesterday, mentioned it, that Facebook was trying to ban any reference to guns. And it looks as if this is where this has all landed, that young people will not be able to see any reference to guns. Through sweeping policy changes, Facebook is now treating gun-related content as pornography on its social media site, including restrictions on users under 18 from seeing firearm-related content and the forced indoctrination of gun control propaganda targeted at users interested in firearms. So, as I said, it's being treated like porn. And as Stefan Molyneux said on Alex Jones yesterday, the effect this is going to have is to make young people more curious. Because anytime you tell young people they can't see something or have something, of course that's what they want to see, that's what they want to have. So thanks Facebook for helping to increase the popularization of owning guns. Yay. I have a few articles from network blogs that I just want to scroll through, but of course I'll include the links in the notes. From Privacy Online, the quest for power has always been a quest for information advantage. That is why the TSA is so vigorously trying to get our information and control it. From the Vatican Project, Ted Gunderson, ex-FBI whistleblower poisoned. Dr. Ed Lucidi, Anthony J. Hilder. I'm including this article because I saw some information last week. I think Karen Hudis had included Ted Gunderson in a list of people who were disinfo agents or shills. I happen to not believe that he was. I know he had some connections that might appear questionable, but how can you be a whistleblower if you're not, to some extent, in contact with the people on whom you are blowing the whistle? So I believe this man's work speaks for itself. He's done some very good things and in very liberty, truth-oriented things, helped some mind control slaves to become free. And certainly in light of that, I suppose it's likely that he was poisoned. Speaking of poison, from the Daily Sheeple, why is gut-wrecking carrageenan in so many organic food products? And we just recently became aware of this, the dangers of this ingredient, and stopped purchasing some products that we had been purchasing and found other ones to substitute, most especially coconut milk. This is very widely found in most brands of coconut milk, and you have to really search to find coconut milk that does not have carrageenan, but it's worth the search, as you will see if you read this article. From the Universal Seduction, anti-leaks legislation coming within weeks, says NSA chief. This means it's going to be more difficult to be a whistleblower. And, if Snowden just releases all the information that he has, that makes other whistleblowers less crucial. But it's always good to at least have people come clean just for their own benefit. From the Daily Paul is an article about J.P. Morgan entitled "The Stone That Brings Down Goliath," and there's a question mark. Nearly $13 billion settlement with the U.S. Justice Department in November 2013. J.P. Morgan Chase admitted culpability. So we'll keep an eye on that. It'd be great if the stone did indeed bring down Goliath. $13 billion is not probably a big enough stone, but perhaps that has landed in precisely the right spot, as when David did bring down Goliath with the stone. The answer to this question might be yes. From the Drudge Report, under threat, serious Christians sign accord with Islamists, pay tax, convert to Islam, or risk death. Not very good human rights going on there. And I saw an article this morning that I didn't include about North Korea. I think they were going to murder something like 33 Christians, put them to death. So if the Lord so leads, you might want to be in prayer for some of those people who are Christians who are in pretty desperate situations. From Natural News, scientific evidence for FDA-approved drugs isn't so scientific, it turns out. Surprise, 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 right? Interesting article there. Might be helpful if you're trying to talk to friends about the FDA. Another article from Natural News, newer model cars now easily hacked in mere seconds by thieves with high-tech remotes. So all of this technology that is supposed to help protect your car from theft, it turns out makes it more vulnerable to theft. Again, surprise! There's a Trojan horse that you're paying for inside your technology. I want to mention Liz Wahl's on-air resignation, and here's the InfoWars article. And Mike Adams of Natural News actually wrote this article. And Mike Adams wrote, RT News anchor Liz Wahl resigned on air yesterday saying, I cannot be part of a network that whitewashes the actions of Putin. I am proud to be an American and believe in disseminating the truth, and that is why after this newscast I'm resigning. And Mike Adams goes on to state that he has made a decision not to appear on RT again for essentially the same reasons, that the actions of Russia are whitewashed and the actions of America are made to, look even more evil than they are, which is virtually impossible because they are extremely evil. And this article, for me, clarified it to some extent. From the Daily Paul, RT anchor cites Ron Paul interview censorship as reason for resignation. So, yeah, if they were censoring her Ron Paul interview, then I think she was probably very reasonable and wise to make this move. But it becomes, there are a lot of questions. It's difficult to sort through this issue because the U.S. has done so many wrong things around the world. And Sherry Questioning All examines that in this article. Putin totally blasts the U.S., saying the U.S. has invaded Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan against international law, and they bully the world. Well, this is true of our tyrannical corporate government. This is not the true republic, but this is the de facto government. This is what is being done at this time in history, and I don't think that we can ignore that. So that there's kind of this fine line. I don't think we want to root for our enemies as far as, Russia being the enemy of the U.S., but we need to acknowledge what we're doing wrong in this country so that we can offer repentance to the Lord and change the path that we're on. And from God's Kingdom Ministries is a somewhat more spiritual look at that issue, hegemony in the Dominion Mandate. Hegemony is a word which few people understand, but it is the modern political term used to describe spheres of influence, to put it nicely. The Western press used it to speak of the Soviet bloc, but never the American bloc. Hegemony has a distinct anti-democratic ring to it, so the Western nations have hidden their hegemony as well as they can. Yet hegemony is precisely why America fomented war against Iraq and Afghanistan in recent years. There were countless excuses for going to war, of course, but in the end, as President Bush said honestly, it was to preserve our way of life. At their expense, of course. Yet they hypocritically attribute hegemony only to those they wish to malign. And there's some history here of this kind of behavior from nations. And it's beyond question that we have interfered with, I mean the United States, not really we, but the corporate U.S. government that replaced the republic at the time of the Civil War. We need our real republic back to straighten things out, but that's another story. But the U.S. has been imposing its will on other nations to benefit the U.S. and corporations and corporate interests, and this is really not to be justified. From Infowars.com, kind of in that vein, just to help us remember where we are. 16 examples that show the United States has become a seriously messed up country. As if we didn't already know, right? But just reminders that it's time for us to act, I guess, is a good way to put it. And people are beginning to act, and people are becoming aware. And Alex Jones with Stefan Molyneux yesterday on Infowars discussed the show House of Cards and how it is exposing what is going on with the government. And I guess they have 100 million viewers of House of Cards weekly. So that's really, there are only a few 100 million people in this country. Of course, this is around the world that it has the viewers, not just in this country. But it's a great expose, and as Stefan Molyneux and Alex Jones agreed yesterday, the House of Cards is coming down. Yay. Here are a couple of good news articles from the 10th Amendment Center, a little bit of news about as to how and understanding of the process as to how the House of Cards is beginning to come down. The practical effect of banning warrantless data in state courts. This article states that the states have the authority to ban warrantless data. So if there's, some case comes up and they have a video of somebody that was obtained illegally through breach of the Fourth Amendment, the state can refuse to acknowledge that data as evidence. And for our last good news item of the day, can we reprogram our DNA and heal ourselves with frequency, vibration, and energy, from Philosopher's Stone? And of course, the implied answer is yes. And we are going to need this ability to heal once we are through this battle, and even as we continue on in this battle, so that we can remain as healthy as possible, so that our minds are fully functioning. We have a flow between ourselves and Creator God. He can show us information and intervene in our lives. With God, all things are possible. Thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.